Hi there, my name's Andrew Roberts. I was out journaling this morning and just reflecting on my lessons or learnings from taking 6 months off. And at the end of the journaling, I just thought the need to share it, really from the point of view of if it can help or inspire one person to take 6 months off, then it's worth doing this. So that's why I wanted to put this video together, just on the off chance someone's out there listening to this and it inspires them to take some time out of from work. So it's been possibly one of the best, if not the best decision that I've made. And I've probably said that on many things. And of course, we remember those decisions that are closest to us. So I probably overlook other decisions I've made, but it's just been a fantastic 6 months, and there's been a lot of lessons and learnings that have come from it. Um, just a bit of background. I've been a business owner for 20 years, and I am definitely someone that pushes quite hard when it comes to business. So I work hard, and if you like, I see myself as a high achiever. So I always like to get the edge and put a little bit of extra effort in to try and get ahead. And of course, I'm a business coach, so I also pass that information on to my clients. And so I decided to have a 6 month break, mainly because I was exhausted. There's no other way to put it. I was flat out. I was irritated more than I could have been with myself, but also finding that other people around me were irritating me. I just felt deeply burnt out. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you're tired, you double down and you even try and do more. So I think that's operating off adrenaline. So I felt like I was using adrenaline to stay afloat. So I was, starting work even earlier. I was good at stopping work early, but I just found myself burning the candle and just feeling off, and not really, if I'm honest, enjoying my work. That's the main thing that I was finding. I was finding showing up for meetings and showing up to do my job hard, and I was getting angry. So thank goodness an amazing mentor in my life, Tracy Sucombi, helped me recognize this. Really advocate her work, by the way. If anyone's listening to this, Tracy Sucombi, she runs a great program called Soul Pleaser, from people pleasing to soul pleasing. And she just called me on it. She just picked up my energy and just said, look, I think you need time out. And so she was on the money. And so I just made the decision to take a big step back from running business and take a break. So every decision we make is obviously, there's positives and negatives. So if I look at the negatives of 6 months off, I let go of the business that I was working in at the time was just really going through big growth. Probably let go of a big financial opportunity, a great opportunity, and a fantastic team that I was working with. There were so many benefits, right? And not only that, if you look at the cost of taking 6 months off, I don't really know what I spend per month, but let's say it's about $10,000 a month. I'm guessing, but approximately. So the cost of taking 6 months off, let's say it's $60,000. Could even be $80,000, but let's say $60,000. So, a lot of people won't take this time out because they'll just perceive it as a bigger cost. And that's fine. But by me not taking 6 months off, I believe there was a significantly bigger cost, and really it boils down to health. I would say that that's the biggest thing, because there's a great quote that I read recently, which is, when you've got your health, you have 1,000 options. When you don't have your health, you only have one option, which of course is to get your health back. And so I have two children under the age of 3. I had a newborn child back 6 months ago, and up 4 to 5 hours a night, dealing with a lot of suffering that our kids were going through at the time with reflux, and trying to then squeeze business in. Physically, I was really exhausted, and I found it really challenging looking after myself. So exercising, I found it really challenging. I had things manifesting in my physical health, from tummy issues to just feeling run down, all of these physical negatives. And the other negative, bigger than that, was my mental health. And the mental health, I wouldn't have called it depression, but maybe it was a little bit linked to that. It was more irritability, frustration, people around me annoying me, particularly close family members, right? So and just being more judgmental of others. So that this mental health issues that was costing me, and so letting go of spending the $60,000 to regain my physical health, to regain my mental health, it just, there's no comparison. I want to make that point really clear from the onset. The biggest benefits substantially have been I've regained my physical health and I've regained my mental health. In fact, I feel like I'm 20 years old again. It's been a significant rest for my brain. I'll talk a little bit more about this as I share some other learnings, but it's just that benefit has so far outweighed the cost of doing this. It's like 1,000 to 1. And I really finally now value my health higher than everything else. And if anything, I've finally got that needs to be my number one priority, followed very, very closely by my family. I've had 6 months of just enjoying getting to know my children better, having more time with my wife, Sunny, spending more time really with my whole family and some friends as well. And that's just been amazing for me. And it's locked in that those things are my highest priority now. Time with my family, time on my health. Whereas maybe before, even though I would have maybe told people they are my highest priorities, my behavior of working hard and going away to events and locking myself away from my family clearly tells everyone else around me that was my highest priority, business. And so now business has come right down the priority chain for me. And health and family are significantly higher, which means that I'm going to spend a lot more time with on those two things. Business opportunities are going to come right down the business scale for me. Now, that'll probably change again when my kids get older, and everything changes. I think there's a time for everything. So I'm not being judgmental to any of you that have business as your highest priority. That's great. But I had it as my highest priority for 20 years. And that just grinded me down and put me into a position of health deteriorating and not really liking myself, or not spending the time with my family that I really wanted to. So having the 6 months off, I was able to have the all-nighters with my kids and still feel great during the day. So that was a significant benefit for me, just rewiring my values and priorities. Some other benefits that I've had, and I'll just share some of these. I feel I'm definitely not defined by my job anymore, or my career. So I was always the business coach. And as a business coach, you've got to appreciate, you've always got to be on as a business coach. You've got to be this leader of your clients. And so, you become this person. And this might not be everyone, but this was me. And so you feel like you've got to be this person that's always growing and developing. And you've got to be, super fit and super wealthy and super successful. And I was able to let a lot of that go and not be the coach. It took me 2 months to slow down and find my peace. So for 2 months, I was really wired and trying to come up with new business ideas. But after about 2 months, I was able to let everything go and wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I'm not a coach. I'm not a business owner. I'm a human being. And the key word there being. I'm not a human doer. I'm a human being. And I was able to go from doing into being. And it was a significant shift for me to not have to pretend to be this driven person that I was carrying for 20 years. And significant benefits came from that. I let go. And as a result, for the first time in a long, long time, I could smell the roses. Like I could wake up and actually go for a walk without, and stop and smell the roses, actually enjoy the walk and stop and look at the sky and not feel guilty being out walking. Or I could go down to the beach and have a couple of hours on the beach and just let go of any feeling of guilt. if you could appreciate, my to-do list went from having 30 things on it a day to maybe 1 or 2 things on it a day. And typically the 1 to 2 things that I had on my to-do list daily was exercise or have a walk or go and catch up with your mother or your father. So it was a really rewarding experience to move from doing into being. And I really realized that my purpose in life was never to be a coach. I mean, learning to be a coach is just a skill, and it's a time in life that I love being a coach and I love being a business owner. But I learned that it needs to stop shaping my identity. There was a great quote which if I can, I'll see it a bit later on. I wrote it down, which I'll share with you on this, by a guy called Ram Dass. Which made me also realize that a lot of the reason I was coaching was to be someone, and I was able to let all of that go. The second big benefit or lesson that I got from this was be the dolphin riding a wave. I've shared this before, but I was able to live this. So I find a lot of high achievers, including myself, we push harder than everyone else, which means if you can appreciate a dolphin is riding a wave, and it's using the force of nature to move it forward. It's not exerting much energy. In fact, if you watch the dolphin on a wave, it's having the time of its life. But I'm usually like 3 meters out in front of the wave, swimming my backside off, exerting a lot of energy. And I see this with a lot of high achievers, that we don't sit back and realize that if we do nothing, if we actually stop working and we go from doing into being, nature is moving us forward. We're aging no matter what. It's a bit like a baby being growing in a mother's tummy. It's evolving whether it wants to or not. And when the baby comes out, it's going to walk no matter what. I've got a 9-month-old at the moment trying to walk, and you watch him and you realize he's evolving without trying to evolve. And that's being, and that's this fantastic understanding of the book Taoism, or I can't remember the full name of it, but the Tao, the Tao Te Ching, it's referred to as, which is there's a bigger energy or there's a bigger force behind us all, which is moving us forward anyway, without us even having to try. It's a huge learning for me that in the 6 months that I had off without doing, I was still growing and evolving, and all these clarities come into my world about who I am and what my next move is. It's been quite significant, yet I've done nothing. It's all happened without any effort at all. It's this effortless action without trying to squeeze another phone call in a week or push myself hard. I feel like I've done more personal growth in the last 6 months. And here's another interesting thing. I haven't read any books around personal development. I've barely done any courses. I've followed a few mentors, but it's been more spiritual growth instead of business growth or personal development. But yet I feel like I've just had so much change for the better in the last 6 months. It's been a really awesome learning. And it also helped me realize how much addiction is attached to success. And so I think that working hard and high achieving, and again, this is back on me learning from me, but again, because I'm a coach, I work with so many people, so of course this relates to a lot of high achievers, the people that I coach and work with. I think that getting ahead in business is no different to taking drugs on the side or being addicted to alcohol. I think there's a real addiction that comes with it. And the reason I think that is because you get a big win in business and you all of a sudden get this massive dopamine hit. I mean, I don't know, this would happen to me. I would do a big marketing campaign. I'd hit a big target, a big goal. And then for about a week or two afterwards, this big overwhelming feeling of accomplishment would flow through me, a big dopamine release. And then it would wear off. And so I'd be high for like 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, sometimes it would last up to a month. I'd feel great about myself, patting myself on the back. Good on you. You've hit a big goal, big financial injection into my life. and then it would wear off, and then you'd set a bigger goal, and you get trapped in this treadmill. Well, I was trapped in this treadmill of constantly chasing the next drug hit, if you like. And it was really good to step away and to see that success can be very dangerous if you're not careful, and chasing rainbows and dreams. You get trapped in doing, and then you neglect the being. And I think that's really dangerous. I really do. So what else? Health benefits. This is what I wrote out. Because of no pressure, no stress, way happier. I've just felt really, really happy in the last 6 months. Way more peace of mind, not feeling guilty, not feeling the need to rush. As I mentioned, smelling the roses. I've started playing tennis again, which I played a lot when I was a kid, but of course ran out of time as an adult. And I'm loving it. Stress levels are lower, way less fights with my partner. I feel like I can be way calmer around my children, just way less irritability, way less critical of other people. I feel way less judgmental of others, and I get this. I just don't have. I'm learning that people are irritating me less now, which is just great. And I really got the power of being versus doing. And what else have I've gained so much physical health, mental health. As I mentioned, peace of mind. That's one of the biggest things. I think so many of us are after this peace of mind. This is what Ram Dass said. I love this. Linked to my coaching, which I mentioned before when I was a coach, but it says, and I wrote this down this morning, but he said, I was no longer needing to be special because I was no longer so caught up in my puny separateness that I had to keep proving that I was someone. I love that. I was no longer needing to be special because I was no longer so caught up in my puny separateness that I had to keep proving that I was something. Man, story of my life. I feel that I've always had to prove that I'm something, hence the need to be a bigger, better coach or whatever it is, and put myself through the ringer and work harder. And when you go from doing to being, this has been my experience, you seem to think at a different scale, meaning you start to realize how connected everything is and how much we've all got one another in us. How much nature is communicating, even how much everyone has this essence of nature within them. And you step back into that world and there's just this deep sense of peace and fulfillment that comes from that. And this realization that I don't need to prove myself anymore. Which means I don't need to have a big business anymore. I don't need to have money or any of these things that I thought used to be important are no longer important. It's a really nice to now choose tasks or businesses or activities or projects that bring me fulfillment over money or how big can I create a business or whatever. The other thing that I was introduced to, last sort of lesson from this, was this incredible mentor, Ramana Maharishi. I think I've got that pronunciation right. Ramana Maharishi. And I think when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And so Ramana teaches all about being versus doing. And I feel there's so many mentors out there that are teaching about push harder, go nuts and all do. And I feel there's not that many. I mean, there probably is many. Maybe I just haven't been seeing them. But I feel there's a lack of teaching on learning to be, which is not doing. And so Ramana, this guy shared with me information that's the opposite to what I was taught as a coach, which has been really conflicting, but it feels to be true to me. Meaning it feels like there's truth to what he's saying, and I feel I may have been led up an incorrect tree, if you like, previously from other mentors. And not just that, I probably taught this stuff. And so Ramana says, and this is really interesting, he says, your only striving in life is to learn to not strive. Your only striving in life is to learn to not strive. Really powerful. There is no destiny. Surrender and all will be well. Do not bear the burden yourself. And then he goes on and he said, if one's mind has peace, the whole world will appear peaceful. This has been my biggest learning. If one's mind has peace, the whole world will appear peaceful. And I thought about this, and I thought about what America's going through, coronavirus. And it really is true that if you're at peace yourself, you don't get bothered by stuff like that. You don't get triggered by it. You don't get upset by what someone else says. You just ignore it. You don't get caught in the conversation or have the need to attack someone or put your point of view across. And I'm not perfect in this sense at all. I'm still learning this, but I've experienced the last 6 months, because I haven't been working and pushing. I've just been letting go, that I've been able to not be triggered by so many things, and I see just so much positivity in the world. I really do. I don't really see the negativity. I just see everything as all this chaos is just this bigger mechanism going on that's just restructuring to create something even better. So people will probably attack this and go for it. It's not going to bother me anymore, thanks to Tracy Succombi helping me speak my truth without being bothered by what people think. But I just really feel that everything's moving, it's perfect. Everything's in perfect harmony, and I've learned not to get caught up in all the stuff, and just focus on me being peaceful, really, is the lesson. So to summarize, it's been the most amazing 6 months. I feel so ready to work again now. I'm going to go back into work. I'm not going to be sitting around. I'll certainly go back into doing, but I'll be operating from a different energy, and I'll certainly be keeping my tennis, my health, my family. Those things will be locked into my calendar, and this may change. It'd be so interesting to see how I roll, where I'm at in 6 months' time, and I'm just going to say no more, and just make sure that my main priorities remain my main priorities. So if this inspires anyone at all to take 6 months off, I will say to you from the bottom of my heart, it will be one of the greatest things you will ever do for yourself, for your family. And please let me know if you do it. I would love to know if this inspires you to take the decision. Ignore all of what you lose. Who gives a shit? Look at what you gain, not what you lose. And it will change, in my opinion. It could, it might not, but it could change your life. So I hope this helps someone out there. Bye now.